Hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meridian Water Community Chest webinar. It is 11:30. I'm going to give it another couple of minutes and then we will start the presentation. Once again, this is the Meridian Water Community Chest webinar. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is the Meridian Water Community Chest webinar on this beautiful morning, Wednesday, 30th of April. So we've got a number of slides that we're going to go through with you today. This slide pack will be shared on the Meridian Water web pages. So please don't worry about making notes, or if you forget anything, we will share these slides after the event. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the slide pack with you. And these are the things that we will be covering today. So it's a basic overview of what the Community Chest Fund is, details on how to apply, and information about timelines. There is the facility in this webinar to be able to ask questions. This button at the top will show you that. It says Q&A, question and answer. You can click on this button and ask your question. We will try to respond to these questions either during or at the end of the presentation. However, the focus of today is on the principles of Community Chest rather than any specific application questions. So if you have any individual questions relating to your application, there'll be some information later about how you can drop us those to the Meridian Water email box. So first of all, I'm going to give you an overview of the Community Chest Fund. So the purpose of the fund is to support not-for-profit groups or organisations to deliver a community benefit in one or all three of the Edmonton wards. Those wards are Lower Edmonton, Upper Edmonton and Edmonton Green. You don't need to be based in one of the three Edmonton wards to be eligible. However, the benefit, the project, the piece of work that you are delivering, that does need to be in one of those three wards, and it needs to be for the residents of those three wards. So the benefits should fall within one of the following categories. You need to be able to improve a physical area within a community, improve opportunities for local people, improve life chances for young people, and address health inequalities. And some examples of what those projects could be in terms of improving a physical area within a community. That could be something like addressing security and crime, improving the look and feel of local streets, adapting an area to consider climate change. Examples of improving an opportunity for local people, particularly around employment. Something like addressing equality, diversity and inclusion, projects that assist with employment and skills issues or language barriers. Improving life chances for young people. You could consider after school or homework clubs, work experience placements, paid internships, enhanced and diversified education provision, and addressing health inequalities, extending health and wellbeing provision, healthy eating or exercise classes. Those are just some examples of the types of projects and initiatives that could fall under those headings. There are two categories of grant. You have the small grant, which is up to £10,000, and the large grant, which is £10,000 and up to £60,000. As I said before, to be eligible, you must be a not-for-profit organisation or charity or group. You don't need to be based in one of the 3 Edmonton wards, but what you're delivering does need to be in one of the 3 Edmonton wards. All organisations, all applications need to provide a terms of reference, company bank account details, and a safeguarding policy if applicable. So if your initiative involves dealing with young people or vulnerable people in any way, you will need a safeguarding document. In terms of how you actually apply, there is a link to the web forms on the Meridian Water website, and that information is up on the screen right now. You will be asked questions broken down into the following categories. Personal details, so this is your details, the person who is applying for this grant. The project details, what it is that you are applying for, and then you will be asked to attach some supporting evidence. So the personal details first. You'll be asked the name and the type of the organisation. So again, this is your name or the secretary's name of the company. The type of organisation, is it a charity? Is it a community interest group? The contact name and details of the person applying, so we can liaise with you if we need to. So this is your email address, the address of your organisation, and a telephone number. The company registration and charity details or Ofsted number, if applicable, and details of any other funding received. That could be funding from Enfield Council or from a different organisation or a different charity or group. Please make sure you enter this information. It is something that will be considered. It doesn't mean you're not eligible, but we need to understand how the total project is going to be funded. In terms of the project then, what is the project that you are applying for? What is the title of the project, first of all, so we get an understanding in a brief summary of what it is you're hoping to achieve? What is the description of the project? So this is your opportunity to explain what the project is about, what you are hoping to achieve, where it will take place. Under which theme does the project fall? It can fall under one or all of the themes that I mentioned earlier, and they're on the screen here. Physical improvements to an area, employment and skills, young people, health and well-being. How many local residents will benefit from the work that you are doing? I appreciate this is a difficult one, but a rough estimate, a number of the number of residents that you expect will benefit from the work that you are proposing. How much are you asking for? And details of any other funding sources. As I mentioned previously, please make sure you answer that and explain how much you've received and from where. Other things to consider in the project details are the budget breakdown. So you're asking for a certain amount of money. What will you be using that money on? What is its purpose? The project timelines. When are you expecting this project to begin? When will it end? And are there any key milestones along the way? I will cover this later, but I will say it now. All projects must complete and all funding bids completed and invoices sent and payments made by the 31st of March 2026. That is next year, the end of March. We cannot support a project that goes beyond that. So please consider that when you are applying for funding. And what is the purpose of the project? What are you hoping to achieve by it? And at the end of it, what will you have done to have made a difference? Supporting evidence. As I said, there are some key documents that you must upload with your application. You have to attach it to the web form when you submit it. The first is a terms of reference or an annual report or a group constitution. It's something that shows the organisation that is applying for this money exists and has something tangible, like I said, a terms of reference or a constitution that explains what they are, who they are, and what they do. Now, applicants can be individuals working together. You don't have to be a big organisation or a big school. You can be a local group, a community group, a neighbourhood watch group, as long as you have some form of document that states what you are. You need to have a company bank account. We cannot make payments to individuals. You need a company bank account registered to your company, and we will need those details to make the payments. And you need a safeguarding policy. This is for any project or group that interacts with children or vulnerable people. If you do not have one, there are templates available online, but you will need to complete one and provide it as part of your application. Terms and conditions. So a couple of important points to remember. The first I've mentioned, but I will mention it again. All work and payments must complete by the 31st of March 2026. We cannot make payments beyond that. That means your work must be completed and all your invoices submitted in good time for us to make those payments. Promotional activities need to reference this money that you will have received from Enfield Council. As part of your application, and you can see on my screen, there is a tick box that confirms when you submit your application, you are agreeing to these terms and conditions. You are agreeing that everything will complete by the end of March next year, and you are agreeing to take part in promotional activities and for Enfield Council to use images and reports and documents from you in any promotional work that we do. So I want to move on now to give you some ideas and tips for when you are submitting your application. This is your opportunity to sell your project. We are basing the decisions on what you say, on what you write down. So this is your opportunity to sell it. So what is it that you are going to achieve? Really make it clear what you are wanting this money for. What are you going to do with it? How many people is it going to help? And who is going to oversee it? So we need to understand the whole mechanics around this piece of work. Are you going to have a member of staff overseeing it? Will there be a project lead? Will it be a volunteer? Who is going to actually do it? How much money are you asking for? What is that money going to be used for? And make sure you really consider any other aspects of it. So will you need to hire a venue in order to deliver this project? And have you thought about how much that will cost? And is that part of your budget and part of your request? Will you need insurance to put this thing on? Make sure you've considered how much that will be. And again, put it in your budget, put it in your request. How long will it take? Can it be delivered in the week, at weekends? Is it a term time only project? What about the holiday periods? And make sure it completes by the end of March. What is the overall purpose of the project? Which of the 3 Edmonton wards will it affect? So once again, that's Lower Edmonton, Upper Edmonton, and Edmonton Green. It needs to impact 1, 2, or all 3 of the Edmonton wards to be eligible. And are there any long-term benefits from this piece of work? So this is the second time we are running the Community Chest project. And I thought it would be useful for you to see some examples of the awards that won last time around. So in the previous round, there were 10 small grant applications that were awarded money. One was £2,500 to take a group of Edmonton children on a trip to the Peak District. Another further £2,500 for playground signage to support language development in a local school in the Edmonton region. And £1,000 was for equipment, and this included board games, Wii Fit computer accessories, and camping gear. So not a huge amount of money there, but really fantastic projects that were going to help people. We had 9 large grant applications approved in the last round. An underpass art project for £10,445. There was a long-term loan of bikes and cycle training project at just over £40,000. And there was the provision of free weekly performance classes specifically for isolated and disabled Edmonton residents at just over £18,000. So those are some examples of projects that applied for funding last time and received some money. They were successful in their application. So what I want you to think about is the purpose behind the piece of work that you would like to do. And it doesn't have to be huge to make a difference. So the examples that I gave previously, £1,000 for some board games, some camping accessories, that was a huge difference to that residential community group. They used that money to help people and to help children just be able to interact with others. It doesn't have to be a £60,000 project that's going to change the world. If you have a community venue that needs the walls painted or that needs some new tables and chairs, and in doing that you'll be able to help a group, then that's fantastic. And that's the kind of initiative that we would be looking to support. The spend should help the community. That is the purpose of the Community Chest Grant Fund. We want to help the community. We want to help as many aspects and elements of the community as we can. So again, think about that when you are submitting your application form. So the application period is now open. It opened on the 1st of April. The closing date is the end of Tuesday, the 27th of May, 2025. So just over 4 weeks to go. 27th of May. And you will need to submit the application and have uploaded all of your evidence by that date. A panel will then review these applications, and that panel is comprised of councillors and officers, and they will review all eligible applications and make a decision on who they want to award the funds to. And when I say eligible, as I said previously, you must be delivering something in one of the Edmonton wards, you must be a not-for-profit organisation, and you must have included your terms of reference or constitution or annual report and a safeguarding document, if applicable. If you do not meet those items, you will not be eligible and you will not be considered by the panel. We aim to inform all applicants by the end of August. So that is applicants who have been successful and applicants who have not been successful. We are aiming to let everyone know by the end of August. If you are successful, we will then liaise with you about the mechanics of taking this forward. There will be a contract and a grant agreement that needs to be signed. We will need to confirm your organisational bank account details, and then we will pay the award, and that will all take place in September. So again, I mentioned previously about your timelines for your project. It cannot start until September, because that is when we will be able to issue you the funding. So September until the end of March 26. That's how long you've got for this project. You will receive 3/4 of the amount that you've requested upfront as part of the signed contract and signed grant agreement. The final quarter will be received at the end of the project, and that is when you will be able to submit the evidence of the expenditure. There'll be a monitoring visit, so someone from the Meridian Water team or Enfield Council as a whole will come and visit you to see what the project is that you've done, what the piece of work is that you've completed. And that will be part of the terms and conditions of the award. And as I've said, all work must be completed and payments made by the 31st of March. So if your project is not able to be delivered within those timelines, we will not be able to consider it. So please consider that as part of your application. So just want to highlight some terms and conditions as part of this. It is a condition of the award that the successful applicants will be required to promote the project and acknowledge the council's funding. We can work with you on this in terms of whether it's a logo or you want our name or something like that as part of your work. We can work with you on that. But we want to be included in the promotion of the project, including photos and physical outputs. So if you are painting a wall, as I've said before, take some pictures. If you are doing something that could involve the cutting of a ribbon, we might like to come along and be part of any awards ceremony or opening or launch ceremony that you're doing. We, the council, will need to be kept informed about the progress of your project, and we will publish information about the successful bids. We will track these projects through the life cycle, and further promotion and public relation work may be undertaken. So we want to acknowledge where this money is going. We want to showcase it, and with this may involve pictures. A monitoring and reporting schedule will be set out as part of the grant agreement for those successful applicants, and it will be part of the terms and conditions. You may have applied last time round, and you may have been successful. You can still apply again. You are not limited. You can apply again, even if you received funds from the last time. However, I do need to emphasize that this project is limited. We only have a certain amount of money. And so decisions will be made around, if you were successful previously, will you be awarded again? It may be that the panel choose to award a new group or a new initiative. Late applications will not be considered, and I'm sorry to say there is no appeal process. The decision of the panel is final. I also want to say that your project may be eligible and it may be a good project, but we have limited funding, which means that the panel are going to have to make some difficult decisions about which projects they're going to award the money to. So that is where you selling yourself really becomes very, very important. Your opportunity to explain what you are doing and why it's going to help the residents and the communities of Enfield. That's what we want to hear. We are more than happy to accept small applications. We're very keen to accept small applications for something that's going to make a difference. When we've got a limited pot of money, we would like to help as many people as possible. So as I said earlier in the slides, it doesn't have to be a huge project that's going to affect 30,000 people. It can be a small project that's going to affect the lives of 20 children. And that's still something that we would consider. So as I've said, you can apply right now via the Meridian Water website. The information is up on the screen. It's very easy, www.meridianwater.co.uk. And I've gone through a lot of information here. It's a lot to take in. There's a list of frequently asked questions up on the website too, if you can't remember something or you want to check something. The Meridian Water team is contactable at meridianwater@enfield.gov.uk. That is an email address that is constantly monitored. There may be other email addresses out there. Please do not use them for this. It's the Meridian Water email address that needs to be used. That is where any questions that you send will respond to. And it is from that email account that we will be sending out information to you if you have applied. You'll get a confirmation email from us to say, we've received your application. This is the reference number. We may also ask you some follow-up questions or some clarification questions. And at the end of all of this, we will use that email account to inform you whether or not you have been successful. Just to recap, the closing date is Tuesday, the 27th of May. We aim to inform all applicants by the end of August 2025. That's a short turnaround. We will definitely do our best. If for some reason we're not able to meet that timeline, we will contact you. By applying, we will have your contact email address. So we will be able to contact you if there, for some reason, we are unable to make that end of August deadline. So that is the end of the formal slide deck. I've gone through everything that I wanted to, and I want to say thank you. Hopefully this has been helpful. I'm going to put the next step slide back up on the screen, and I'm just going to have a look at the questions to see if there's anything relevant that you would like us, that I can go through as a group. As I've said to you before, this isn't for specific questions. So if you've emailed with a very specific question for your application, we will try and respond to it. If not, I will ask you to send it to the Meridian Water mailbox, which is up on the screen right now. So I've had a question regarding an organisation proposing several projects on the same application, or should they be on different web forms? That's an excellent question. Each application is for a certain amount of money. So if you have one project, let's say it is the refurbishment of a scout hut, and it's going to cost £8,000. And that's made up of painting walls at £1,000, some new tables and chairs at £4,000, a whiteboard, and some stationery. Put all of those items on one form because it's all part of the £8,000 refurbishment project. If, however, you are one organisation, but you would like to submit some money for one project, which might be delivering a healthy eating campaign at a school, and you also want to deliver a different project to take some children away camping, those are two different projects and you should submit them on two different application forms. However, what I will say is we have got a limited amount of funding, and it is unlikely that we will be able to award all of the money that we are going to be asked for. We are unlikely to be able to approve all of the applications. So if you've got lots and lots of ideas, you might want to pick the one that you think is most likely to be successful because of what it is, because of the number of people it's going to help, for example, or the type of initiative, and apply for that one. It doesn't stop you applying for others, but just remember there is a limited amount of money available. So I've got a question regarding the word count. We mentioned characters rather than words. Will the form stop accepting characters once the limit is reached? Yes, it will. You have a limited word count. However, if you've got more to say, once you've submitted your application, you can email the Meridian Water mailbox and we will be able to add to that from our end. I was asked a question previously about images. You can't attach pictures to the web form, but you can email us. So if you've got more stuff that you want to say, more examples, pictures that you want to include, once you've got your reference number, you can send that across to the Meridian Water mailbox and we will be able to add that to your application form. I've got a question regarding salaries. Do you fund salaries or are there any items you will not fund? This is a limited project. As I've said, all money must be spent by the end of March. So if you are asking for money for a salary for somebody, what will happen at the end of the project? Will they not have a job, or will you be looking to fund that salary from a different path? So it's not that we won't consider salaries as part of it. It may be that your project is for a period of time. So using my previous example, you will need to pay for a painter, perhaps, to come and paint your wall. So you need to buy the paint and you need to pay for the painter. That is something that you could consider as part of the application form. So it's not that we won't consider anything. You just need to think about how your project is going to continue. So if you are paying for a salary for a project coordinator or a team leader, what's going to happen at the end of the project? Is it a finite project? So you are paying for a trainer to deliver 5 training courses. That could be considered a salary, but it's only for 5 items and then it's done. You could definitely include that as part of your project. Are there any costs that we won't cover? That is a very good question. I think you can submit your claim, and as long as your total and your breakdown it adds up, so you've explained what you're putting your request in for, it will be considered as part of the panel. It doesn't mean it will be approved. Obviously, as I've said before, we've only got a limited amount of money, but it is definitely something that we would consider. Do we support work delivered in schools, such as extracurricular activities or in-school workshops? We are very keen to support schools, and it's definitely something that we would be able to consider as part of that. So again, think of the project that you are looking to do. So I gave you the example of the playground signage. This was a real project where a school asked us to support this initiative. They wanted to put posters up around their playground of images and words to help people develop their languages. Fantastic initiative, and that was something we were able to help with. I gave examples of after school homework clubs. Again, what would the costs of that be? Would you need to buy resources in terms of paper and pencils, a printer, a whiteboard? What is it you need from the project? What is it you need from us to be able to support your project? Can an organisation claim for energy bill costs during the project timeline? If it's related to the project, then yes, you can claim for those. Can you apply in a partnership? Do both partners need to be not-for-profits? The organisation needs to be a not-for-profit organisation. The entire organisation needs to be. We cannot accept project requests from sole traders or businesses. This is specifically for not-for-profit organisations, voluntary groups, charities, schools. Are we expecting match funding from applicants? We're not expecting it, but it may support your application if you are able to demonstrate where you are going to get that funding from. One of the items that I do need to emphasise, that we've talked before about there's a limited amount of funding and not everybody will be able to be successful. If we reach a situation where we cannot award the full amount of money, so let's say you've asked for £10,000 and we are only able to give a portion of that, would that work for you? Would you be able to amend your project to deliver it on a smaller scale? Would you be able to get match funding from somewhere else? Or do you need the full amount of money or your project won't be able to work? So again, something to think about. If that situation was to arise, we would contact you and we would have a conversation about how it could work. You might want to at that point think, okay, well, I've asked for all of this money to cover all of these costs, but actually maybe I could do that differently. Maybe I could use some volunteers to deliver parts of this. So again, using the example of the wall in the Scout hut, if we can't give you £1,000, but we can give you £500, would that be enough for you to buy the paint? And maybe you ask for some volunteers to actually do the painting rather than paying for a professional painter and decorator. So I've got a question regarding September. When should a group plan a start date if you're not going to get the money until September? I would suggest that you start planning it for September. We will know by the end of August if you've been successful or not, and then there is some paperwork to complete with a view to this being delivered from September onwards. Must complete by the end of March. It doesn't really matter when it starts, as long as you've got enough time to deliver that project in that timescale. I've got a question regarding a different email address that I'm afraid I'm not aware of. The email address for this project, as on the slide deck at the moment, is meridianwater@enfield.gov.uk. The total amounts available, sorry, what are the total amounts available in the small and large grant pots? We haven't split it like that. The total amount available is £300,000, and we will award based on the grant applications that come in. As I've said, you may be eligible, but there is only a certain amount of money, and the panel will make the final decision about who will be awarded, who will be successful. So if you are an organisation and your organisation is an entity in itself, whether you are a school or a charity or Scout Hut or a Sea Cadet unit, whatever your group is, that group needs to submit the documentation. So your terms of reference, your accounts, and you need to have an organisational bank account. So if you are a neighbourhood watch group, for example, and you're made up of 3 or 4 households, you need to collectively have one organisation. So let's say that you are all residents of Long Lane. The Long Lane Neighbourhood Watch Group can be set up, and you would need a Long Lane Resident Watch Group bank account for the money to be paid into. Individuals within that, they will obviously have their own bank accounts, they'll have their own jobs, whatever it may be, but collectively you are then the neighbourhood watch group, and that is your organisation, and it's a non-profit organisation. There's quite a lot of questions coming in on the chat about this. You must be not-for-profit. You cannot be a business, you cannot be a sole trader. This is specifically for voluntary organisations, charitable groups, schools, not-for-profit organisations to deliver a community benefit in one or more of the Edmonton wards. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes for any further questions to come through. And while I do that, I'm just going to go back to one of the slides that I've been asked about. So this was asked about regarding the awards that were made last time. So once again, some example awards here. I'm not expecting you to submit the same ones, although you may have something similar that you want to do. £2,500 for the playground signage. I mentioned this previously. £2,500 to take a group of children from Edmonton to the Peak District, and £1,000 for equipment for an organisation that included board games, Wii Fit computer accessories, and camping gear. So you can see that these are quite small, £2,500, £1,000 in comparison to the large grant slide that I'll share in a moment, but they really made a huge difference to those community organisations. And then in terms of the larger grants, the examples here, it's a lot of money, that £40,000, and that was awarded to a group that were doing long-term cycle loans. So we were able to support this initiative to give people support in getting a bike, and the organisation also helped them with cycle training. So they taught them how to ride a bike safely in traffic and on the roads. So they could then use this to get to work, to get to school, and they were then able to have a bike as well. So a lot of money, that £40,000, but it was for a really good project. The design and creation of a mural in the Edmonton underpass there at £10,000, and providing free weekly performance classes for isolated and disabled residents in Edmonton at just over £18,000. So the things to think about here are it doesn't have to be huge to make a difference, but it does need to help the community. You do need to be doing something that benefits others. So an application from you to paint your living room will not be accepted. It needs to be a charitable organisation, a not-for-profit organisation doing something that's going to help the community as a whole. Okay, finally now, I'm just going to share that final slide one last time. The application period is now open. Please do have a think about it and get ready to submit your application. You must submit by the end of the 27th of May. That is a Tuesday. That is Tuesday, the 27th of May, the day after the bank holiday. Any late applications will not be considered. We will not be able to consider late applications. You've got the Meridian Water email address on the screen, and you can use this if you've got any specific questions that you would like us to respond to. We will then review these, and all eligible applications will be taken to a panel at the end of June for a full review and a decision to be made about the applications that they want to award the money to. And we aim to inform everybody by the end of August. And then in September, early September, we'll be liaising with you to get the grant application signed, the terms and conditions signed, and the money awarded. All projects must complete, all monies must be spent by the end of March 2026. If you have any questions, please use the Meridian Water email box. If we've not been able to answer your questions today, then please drop an email to that mailbox and we will do our best to get back to you as soon as we can. This is a limited amount of money. You can apply on one of two grants up to £10,000 or £10,000 to £60,000. There is limited funding, so think about what you are wanting to achieve with this money. And really make sure that you use your opportunity in this application form to sell the work that you are doing, to explain how you are going to fund this project and how this money will be spent. Remember the terms and conditions. We will expect Enfield Council's logo and Enfield Council to be mentioned in promotional activities. And likewise, we will be asking you for images, for reports, for statements, so that Enfield Council can use those too. Any further questions that you have, please drop us an email to the Meridian Water mailbox. It is manned, it is managed. We will look at them and we will respond to them as quickly as we can. Sometimes it takes us a little bit of time, particularly if it's a complicated question, but we will get back to you because obviously I'm very conscious that we are in the middle of an important application period. You must apply by the end of the 27th of May. Late applications will not be accepted and there is no appeal process. The decision of the panel is final. And even though you may be eligible and even though you may have a really good idea, we only have a certain amount of money. So we will be looking for initiatives and projects that are clearly explained, that we can see a benefit to the Enfield community, the 3 Edmonton wards of Lower Edmonton, Upper Edmonton and Edmonton Green. Okay, well, I would like to thank you very much for joining me today for this webinar. I hope it has been useful and informative. Once again, my name is Carla Siegel. I'm from the Meridian Water team at Enfield Council. The email address is meridianwater@enfield.gov.uk. Really wish you all the best of luck with applying for this money. And I hopefully will be in touch at some point with a lot of you with some very good news later this year. So once again, details are on the screen for applying. Closing date is the 27th of May. Thank you all very much. Goodbye.